Hi, everybody. This is exciting. We've got a really big webinar tonight. We have over 300 people that have registered. So we think we'll get 80 to 100 to show up, which is very exciting. And I see Lori and Lisa and Becky and Debbie and Nicole and Carol. I think I even see Michael Pipitone from Yes Music. Hello, Michael. And Shonda and Karen and Jenny and Teresa. Oh my gosh, we have a lot of you guys here. I'm thrilled that you're joining us tonight. We've got fabulous presenters. Please know that we're going to ask you to please turn off your videos and also silence you. And Beth, I'm going to have you wander around and go through, and there you go. We'll be taking you off. Sorry about that. So the wonderful thing we have tonight is we've got what I consider four of the most influential women in group exercise joining us. I am thrilled to have Maureen Hagen. She's the COO of CanFit Pro. She was recognized as Canada's top 10 women of power in 2020 and a top 100 health influencer. Mo has a great passion for moving people, and she's also on the Canadian National Board of Directors for Prescription to Get Active. And she's also a physiotherapist. So
hello, everyone.
Yeah, she's pretty smart here. We've got Amy Boone Thompson. What you don't know about Amy, what I didn't mention is we worked together when we were involved with Les Mills. And Amy has held just about every job in the fitness industry, which I adore because that gives her an enormous perspective on what is going on. She's the new owner and CEO of Idea Health and Fitness Association. We are thrilled that she's joining us tonight, and we also commend her for really bringing on a new generation of idea for fitness and wellness. Really exciting. We've got Janice Jakes, who's the founder and CEO of Fitness Fest, Aquacon, and Desert Swim School. And she's got marvelous conferences, and she's also got a relatively new, although very well experienced, Aqua Progressions certification program. I'm just thrilled to have her. She's from Arizona. We got Amy from California. We've got Maureen from Canada. And then we also have Jamie Nichols from the East Coast. So we've got East Coast, West Coast, North, South, everything represented. She's the CEO of DCAC. She's been involved with them for several decades. She's certified just about for everyone. And she currently teaches a variety of group exercise classes at her local Y. So we've got these amazing women, and we're going to talk about group exercise, a positive outlook for a new year. We're in the next normal. We're experiencing a shortage of group exercise instructors, lower group exercise attendances. And what we're going to examine is the future of group exercise, the programs, the people, and cross our fingers, the profits. I'm Sarah Cooperman. I'm the CEO of SDW Fitness Education. I'm the mom of 4 boys, craziness. We have 2 pre-choreographed programs, Water in Motion, and we also have SEAT, supported exercise for ageless training. So we're going to start talking about the trends, and I'm going to hit on Amy. What are current group exercise trends do you see, and how do you think it will develop in 2023?
Well, first, thanks for having me. It's so exciting to be here with all these wonderful leaders. So my perspective, I know we're going to talk about ACSM trends and we're going to touch on what we've seen from those surveys, but just a little bit of perspective from operators here on the West Coast, coming out of some alliance meetings and hearing what's going on out there. We know that right now, Aqua Outdoor, you're going to hear about those. They soared during the pandemic. Those are still strong, but of course have limitations as far as climate and accessibility in some markets. But we're hearing here, especially that yoga programming is decreasing in big multi-purpose clubs, but really strong in the club and studio market. So those clubs have wait lists, solid wait lists, but big facilities are seeing a little decline in yoga. We're also hearing a lot of California operators are remodeling, taking out traditional studios, sadly, but putting in turf and open space in favor of functional training, which aligns with the trends that you'll see. And then I'm excited to talk more about what we're seeing with virtual offerings in combination with or instead of in person. That's an exciting trend that will continue. Hearing cycling might be decreasing in these markets and dance remains steady. But that's a little bit from California. And then I can just speak to the Korean market. Pilates is king, still thriving, still number one.
That's very interesting you say that about Pilates.
Yes.
What we're finding is like our bar certification has really declined, but our Pilates certification is going strong.
Yeah.
And that's so unique. Janice, what are you seeing? Because I know Amy mentioned that you're, of course, our aqua queen over here.
Well, I'll speak of aqua first, since you mentioned that, and that is my format that I've been teaching for 37 years. So ever since COVID, so that's a small part of my, well, but besides teaching aqua and knowing about what's going on in aqua in Arizona, but it's a small part of my business is offering aqua fitness for resorts, retirement homes, 55 and older. And that part of my business has exploded without even trying. And so I just had like a few retirement homes before COVID. Now I have like 12 or 15 contracts, and a lot of them want 5 days a week. Most of them are outside. And of course, we are in Arizona. We are a little chilly right now, but we can do outdoors all year round, not like Colorado or Virginia or Canada.
Who are
So,
you?
Yeah, well, right now I'm actually in Huntington Beach, but I live in Arizona and we have been chilly. So that has really exploded. It's also exploded in the clubs. And, before I got right into the aqua because I got so excited about it, but I want to thank you, Sarah, for inviting me. And I'm honored to be part of this esteemed panel of leaders. So thank you. So I called upon Joella Hopkins, who's the VP of EOS, which is the fastest growing club in the country. They just opened their 70th club, and even during COVID. And I don't work for EOS, so that's not why I'm saying that. I just thought they are the ones to ask. Joella and 3 of her managers, her group fitness managers, got on a Zoom call with me last week, and I picked their game. What is popular? What is, and they said, like you alluded to a little bit, Amy, cardio and dance. Zumba is still popular. They tend to take a chance on new branded programs like their own dance, Commit Dance, and Soul Body, Soul Fusion, Surge Fit, if you've heard of them. I think everyone has heard of High Fitness. So those classes are super popular. I happen to go to one of those gyms, and you see those young blondes lining up and ready to go in, just like the good old days. So they're doing pretty strong. They're pretty strong with the cardio and the dance and their group exercise instructors. So I see very positive as far as that type of format and group exercise. Do you want to say something, Sarah?
That's nice to see, because cardio has, like, Amy acknowledged that it seems in some facilities, unfortunately, they've really turned away from group exercise. And there was a brand new research study by ABC who did it, published it in November. And they look at big box gyms. And it said in the study that 31% of the attendees want group X, and that's huge. It's usually around 20-25%. That's like the lead. No, but it's about 31%. And I like what you're saying about the retirement centers and living centers. We have the SEAT program, supported exercise for ageless training, a chair-based workout. This is great for all of us group fitness instructors here, that if you can't get on a schedule someplace, go to a retirement community and bring the active aging wellness programs there. I really love that.
Yeah,
I'm going to take the screen. I'm going to take the screen for 1 second. And I'm going to go to you, Mo, and we're going to kind of look at this wonderful video. This is a great video about what's going on, the trends in Canada, your research. And I found that study to be really interesting. And I love how I saw functional fitness, active aging, recovery, all the things we're talking about. Can you please share us more on the trends that are going on in Canada?
Thank you. It's great to be here to represent Canada. One thing I'd love to say, thank you so much for putting together that video. We had the highest response rate to our survey this year than we've ever had, which actually leaves clues to what's going on in Canada in terms of the enthusiasm and the optimism in the industry. So we are seeing a resurgence to the club, members coming back, new members who've never been part of a club atmosphere coming in and coming to group fitness, whether they're returning or trying it for the first time. People are starving for that community and that inclusiveness of being around like-minded fitness enthusiasts. Yes, you mentioned functional fitness, and it's been on the top 10 trends list for many years, but it's #1 in Canada. Why? Because people are really returning to the basics when it comes to strength training, core central training, balance and stability, and mimicking activities of daily living with strength training. Now, cardio did enter into our top trends in group fitness, but specifically in an area I'm thrilled about, and that is in our freestyle programs, pre-choreographed classes. Some have already been mentioned this evening. And then, of course, with the fusion style classes. I will speak to the importance of who you hire later on, because with that information, we have an opportunity, my friends. While we have a shortage of group fitness instructors or group exercise instructors, we have a huge opportunity to not only welcome back the talented freestyle instructors from the past, but also, as Amy is doing with IDEA and as what we're doing here in Canada, is welcoming a whole new generation of group exercise instructor and training them up with certification. The older adult or active aging, just a moment about that. What I love, and it was mentioned in our survey about accessibility. Older adults or the active agers don't want to necessarily be in standalone classes, but integrate into friendly fitness, group fitness, so they can be around the energy of other generations, not just their peers. And I see that personally because I do teach a class that attracts all ages, especially the active ager. And I've been doing that for 40 years. So I'm gathering the data as I go. So it's been really exciting to watch. And the last thing is active recovery. That one is entered as a top trend, as a standalone trend. We'll probably talk a little bit more about that, but the boutique feel of building active recovery studios and or small group training that focuses on active recovery and all the disciplines that are included in that, which gives us opportunity as well in terms of the type of studios we build or retrofit, or think about moving the studio outside of the four walls into other areas within the club, or as mentioned already, outdoors.
Yeah, and it's what's sad, but we have to be cognizant of is 25 to 30% of all the health clubs have permanently closed, which then you have these 25 to 30% of the population that was participating in health clubs looking for facilities. So they're slowly gravitating back. We all thought that the 1920s we would mimic the 1920s and we'd have this huge rush of participation and community and just a party atmosphere. I mean, you can meet people in three places: a church, a bar, or your gym. But it's a slower evolution. Now, Jamie, I know we work with presenters and we're always looking at what trends are they sending in to us to present. What are you seeing in Virginia and at DCAC?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be among all of these wonderful, intelligent ladies. So I appreciate that. I've seen a lot, functional fitness, active aging is definitely always very popular. What I've seen that's been steady for quite a while is bringing boutique experiences into larger gyms. So ever since Orange Theory and all the boutique fitnesses, the big box gyms are trying to figure out how to compete. So we've seen a lot of small group training and how do you bring that experience to the members that might make them feel more comfortable in going to a regular group exercise class on your schedule. We've seen a lot of combination classes, whether it's yoga with Pilates, strength with cardio, cycling. I think the East Coast is a little bit different. We've seen a huge cycling uptick. I actually work really closely. I work for Core Health and Fitness in the Schwinn cycling department, and we see a huge number of trainings on the East Coast. So I think, across the board, it can differ in different areas. I also think that those, freestyle trainings or those trainings that kind of are dance fitness based that can teach you how to teach freestyle or teach you the 32 count, some things that like some instructors that haven't been in the industry for a while don't know. I think the ones that create the community, like Warrior Rhythm, I think really sticks out, or Bar Above, the ones that really have a community of people and try to mentor the instructors. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've been teaching for quite a while, and I don't think I'd be where I am if I didn't have someone mentor me. But I think that's kind of fallen away recently. So I think it's our job as fitness professionals to take those people that are coming into the industry and mentor them and help them progress.
Very wise, very, very wise. And it's interesting to see, Cycle on the East Coast seems to be doing very well, and maybe Cycle on the West Coast doesn't feel like it's as strong, or maybe it's declined a little bit due to a reduction in participation, who knows? But it's interesting to see programs like Warrior, Brazili, different programs, the pre-choreographed are still surviving, but people still seem to want that experience with education. And like you said, mentoring. I hope you don't hear my dogs barking. How can we boost our group exercise? Oh, you know what I'm going to do real quick? I'm going to show you guys a quick video on what trends were predicted by the American College of Sports Medicine and SCW. Now, what's interesting, Mo, is you said you had more people contributing to your trends research. And what ACSM found is they had a 30% reduction in participation. So they went from about 4,300 people to about 3,800. And the exact same thing happened to SCW. So I think it's really interesting that CanFit Pro got all those people to respond. So anyway, let's watch this video real quick. Here we go. Worldwide trends. I love looking at these things. I love looking at the comparison of what's going on in our industry. And I think what we need to realize is the whole world looks at the American College of Sports Medicine and thinks, this is the trends for everything. And you have to look at them. It's primarily personal trainers, academicians, coaches, So that gives you one trend. SCW, we're like a heavy duty into the group exercise, 74%. So that was fascinating. One thing that I found is both ACSM and SCW, and also CanFit Pro, functional training, active aging. We're seeing a lot of recovery. We're seeing HIIT. That's interesting. ACSM and SCW also saw strength training right up there, foam rolling, which was in there, and recovery. And I thought that was fascinating that in 2022, ACSM actually had as their top 10 online, on-demand wellness coaching, and it's totally gone now. Totally gone. And what's risen, even the home exercise gyms, which were number 2 in 2022, are now actually gone as well. So it's interesting to see these trends and what's been happening. Amy, how do you think we can boost group exercise class attendances?
Well, I know we'll get a lot of feedback from all of the people on the call, but I want to start with something that would be across any place that you're teaching. So if you're teaching in a large club, small studio, in-home, outdoor, the secret ingredient is really building connection, right? So I'll speak to community and connection. Now everybody else cross that off your list. I'm just kidding, you can add on. And really, we find that that is absolutely how you build your attendance. It's investing in your community, whether that's a club or whether that's your following online or whomever that is. Invest in that community and build lasting connections, and you will thrive. You will boost attendance because other people will do the marketing and promoting on your behalf, number one. And then the second thing I would say, for those of you who have built a following in social media and you're still maybe trying to figure out, how do I leverage this? How do I use my presence or my social media to build my attendance in an in-person or brick and mortar class? There's a lot of great examples out there of people who are actively promoting all the places they teach, and they do this with the blessing of each of those clubs and studios, and they do it also by maybe extending offers to those studios, clubs, as well as inviting people to attend, to join them in a virtual environment. So really, one of the big shifts I think that we're seeing coming out of the pandemic is both personal trainers and group instructors view their business as their own, regardless of where I teach, regardless if I teach in a park, in a club, or on a boat with a goat. I am in charge of my business and it's my brand. So I share that to maybe open the perspective and possibility of the fact that you can build your brand and still teach in a variety of different places, and people will come for you. People will follow you if you are building that connection and that community. So I'll let other people respond as well.
And I also, Amy, you've nailed it. It's community.
Yeah.
Because we can do personal training. We get it. We all know how to communicate. We could do small group, but being able to build that community is what people have been starving for 2.5 years. And I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of it is instructor driven. So I love that you brought up social media. And I think we all have to be aware that we have to, as group fitness instructors, we build our own following. We post on Instagram, we post on Facebook, and collecting cell phone numbers. If you guys can start texting individuals, that's very important to do. But if you're in Florida, you got to be very careful, because there was just recently a lawsuit about text messaging without being informed. So being the lawyer, I get a little bit nervous about this. When you go in, your club should be putting in their waivers of liability. When people are signing up as members, I agree that my image and my likeness can be used for any and all purposes, commercial as well as social. And that's important to put in there, because then you can post their videos, post their images. It's very important. You can text them, email them. And that's going to be more and more important because 90% of the people open their text messages as opposed to, let's say, 20% that open their emails. So it's fascinating how we can build community. Janice, you've been dealing with an older adult market. We always get so scared, oh, they don't know social media. And I would beg to differ. How are you building community with your clients?
Well, Amy said all the good stuff already. And but I think we all have been group exercise instructors before or still are, and also coordinators, which I was a coordinator at the gym. And that's why we all got in it, because of that sense of community and that sense of tribe and that great feeling of building connection. And now more than ever, after COVID, we all need that. We thrive for it. And older adults, they need it, as much or more than anybody. And I think a lot of them are into social media. And if they're not, then there's other ways, definitely other ways. Once we can grab them, we got to figure out how to keep them. And if you are the right instructor, and I know we're going to talk about that in one of our next questions, if you're the right instructor, you've got to truly care about your people. That is probably number one. And if you can keep that care, that kindness, that be authentic, be reachable. And why do they want to come back? It's not just that you're giving them a functional training workout or a good workout. It's that you care enough and you support them and you make them feel welcome and you make them feel successful. You help them feel successful. And so getting them in there and figuring out how to keep them in there. So that would be my answer to that. So.
And that's incredibly valuable. Now, Mo, I'm going to throw this at you. I look at this, how can we boost our group exercise class attendance? Let's look at our systems. Let's look at our schedule. What time are we putting them on? What type of programs at what time of day? And I got to be asking, what are we going to pay these instructors? And what, as group fitness instructors, can we expect to be paid?
Ooh, that's a big question. First of all, about scheduling, due to the pandemic and with the requirements to space people apart, we also had to space apart the classes. Unlike years ago when we'd have back-to-back classes, that was efficient for getting more people into group fitness. But what it took away from was that opportunity for community between the classes or around the classes. And that's what I have found personally as an instructor is I can be in there ahead of my class to walk around, to meet new people, to set them up properly because there is the time. Also, where I teach, which is Good Life Fitness, it's a large chain here in Canada, is we do roll call. And I can be honest with all of you and say, having taught for 39 years in the same organization, I didn't know my members' names or all of them. Now I do, because we have to take attendance to know what they've done in the club for tracking purposes. And so between the scheduling of having space, which is 15 minutes between classes, and with the opportunity to get to know members' names, you get to introduce those members to each other, as well as giving them the love in class personally. And you can follow up with them. It builds different relationships, which is a really big part of community. As far as paying instructors, well, that's going to be a wide range according to where you work in suburban versus urban clubs. One thing I'd love to comment on is that, as mentioned already, is we have to help the instructors see this is their own business. And if they want to make more money, part of the role and responsibility that they should have is for that business of promoting themselves, both in the club, outside of the club. And that's where the social comes in, but also where the club managers or your program director, coordinator should help you by sitting down with you and working out what the goal is for your class based on whether it's prime time, non-prime time, and helping you establish goals and then how to go about recruiting people and then paying for participation. Now, this is a big loaded one because, of course, we need the system to manage it. But wouldn't it be great if we could borrow from the other industries like the restaurant industry where you pay a flat rate and then you pay per head. And then it does put ownership on the instructor to build their brand whether they're teaching within the class or the community, and then pay for that performance. I think that would be really beneficial to build more of that entrepreneurial spirit amongst the group instructor base. And those are just a few ideas. There's many more.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're wonderful. Mo, that's wonderful. I have to commend you on reminding us of those breaks. And it's not just the time break, the 15 minutes. I take a yoga class here and I love the instructor, but the studio is so small that the only place we can gather is outside of the door. So I was talking to the director and I said, it would be really nice if you put like just a couple benches outside. And he just went, and I think he went to Ort, and he picked up a couple benches and it lets us sit and talk to each other. And now we all know each other. We text each other if we're not going to class. Like,
Exactly.
You're getting fat, get over to class, make it to the yoga class. So I like the break as far as 15 minutes time, but we also need the space. So there is always a silver lining to everything. In the pandemic, silver lining is the roll call, like you mentioned, and also having that break. And what was fascinating is, I think I do talks and takes with, I would call them the three boys, with Brent, Bill, and Blair, and I'm always like the only chick in the room. And they thought this was brilliant. I hope they don't watch this webinar, but they thought it was a brilliant idea to pay the instructors, since we're the ones who kind of saved us during the pandemic and went on Facebook Live and Instagram Live, and did this when we thought the pandemic was only going to last a couple of weeks, and kept our members together. They suggested, why don't we give an extra couple dollars per head and incentivize the instructors to actually have people come. And if you remember, like Janice from years ago, we were paid a little bit extra per head. Jamie, do you have any other suggestions on building community and, trying to really boost our group exercise class attendances?
I think, just like many of the others have said, it's definitely all about cultivating your relationships. Pre-COVID, a lot of us just went in and did our thing, but we all found out during the pandemic, the relationships are what carried you through. And I think one of the things that I've always been told as an instructor is, as soon as you clock on, you're on. And I think that that's important. You need to show up in a timely manner. You need to be prepared. You need to have a positive attitude. But I also think that there needs to be less performing and more creating relationships with those people that come to your class. And it all relates back to behavior change and finding out why participants come to your class so that you can relate to them outside of exercise and figure out what might help them in other areas of their life or what other classes they might enjoy. I also think that more communication between upper management, whether it's the owners of the facilities or whether it's the membership team. I worked at a facility since I was 16 years old. I've been in all roles in a facility. And I think that more communication, especially when things got a little hairy during the pandemic, will be really helpful in promoting group exercise, because those classes are there regardless of how many members you sign up. Like, those are on your payroll. So I think that, more communication and letting them know, maybe they don't have a body pump class, but maybe you have an alternative that's a gym branded class that you could offer those people, and making everyone in your facility aware of what's going on could be really helpful in boosting those numbers.
Those are great. Those are great ideas.
Sarah,
Boosting, pardon me?
Sorry, I just wanted to just jump in and add on to the whole
Please.
conversation about character, if you don't mind. The best, very, very best instructors are the ones that set an intention for their class. And they do that repeatedly, and it's authentic. And those are the instructors who come to class not to say, look at me. It's all about, look at you, look at your progress, look at you showed up, first of all, you're here. So I just to kind of summarize the conversation about how to grow attendance, it's really truly about your intention and how you present yourself on that stage. And again, it's never look at me. It's always about loving on the people who came to class that day. So if we could summarize in that manner, I think it's about intention too.
Oh, I totally agree. And I also think what's interesting is, being a student and a teacher, but being a student now, I went in to take class and the instructor was like facing the window. The instructor wasn't facing us. And I'm like, what about, what about me? And it's very interesting. I love that you bring that up, Amy. And Mo, you were furiously taking notes. So please share.
Oh, I was taking notes because there's so much valuable information here. And if we can input one small change, if you've ever read the book by James Clear on Atomic Habits, one small change done consistently creates a massive compound change in behavior. And that will definitely impact performance. One thing I did take a note about when we talk about intention and connection, relationships, community, is I would encourage that when you sit down as the coordinator or the club manager, and I'd really encourage club owners and operators to really adopt group exercise as important in their studio or club as they would any other revenue generating center, such as personal training. But sit down and talk not numbers, but talk about the why. How many lives will you be able to change by your intention and your efforts this week? So when I go into class tomorrow, I'm not going into class going, okay, am I going to get my 38 members to get a check and make sure I'm green light versus in the red or yellow? But how many lives am I going to impact or change for the better, even if it's just for 60 minutes on a Friday as they enter into the weekend? And if we can work intentionally around our why and our purpose versus the numbers and the bottom line, I guarantee that group fitness, group exercise communities will grow because the intention leads the way.
We can
Okay,
just
we're done. Webinar over. Okay. I'm going to
Right.
share one thing, and then Janice, I promise I'm calling on you.
Okay.
And you guys
It's
know,
so exciting.
you guys know I went to law school. I decided I was going to change the world, political science major. I went in, I don't know how I got it, but I landed a assistant state's attorney job as a first year law student. And then as a second year law student, I was like all set. And I taught jazz funk at East Bank Club. And I had this wonderful group of women that would come every Tuesday and Thursday. And I got cornered in the locker room. I hope I don't cry, but I got cornered in the locker room by one of my students who said, "You saved my life. My mother was dying, oh my goodness, of cancer. And your class just changed everything." And right then and there, I said, I'm going into fitness. I finished my law degree, I passed the bar, and this is how we change the world. This is what we do. So kudos to you, Mo. Now, Janice, so that I don't cry again, you talk.
I was just going to say, and there was a comment in the chat about, well, let's make sure our group fitness coordinators and leaders understand this. And unfortunately, not all of them do. And I'm so thankful and grateful for the ones that do understand it. And I was a coordinator for quite some time. Back in the day when we did have our group exercise classes filled and we had regular meetings, so we all got together and we saw each other right after class. We knew each other. We'd have parties together and all that. And then, as far as teaching aqua too, like there were times when I was so burnt out. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I need to focus on my business. And then someone would come up to me, like you said, Sarah, and they'd go, "Oh, you changed my life because now I don't have to do these prescriptions." I'm like, shoot, I'm back in it. So it's rewarding, and it's a great, fabulous profession and job, and we have to do the best we can to make a difference in everybody's lives.
And you're absolutely right. There is something special about water exercise, and I'm convinced it's because people get wet and naked together. And there are very few classes that people literally have to take their clothes off, have to like take a shower, wash the chlorine off, whatever. I know even in Arizona, they're getting out of the pool, they're wrapping up, they're drying off. but it creates this camaraderie. I've never had such a group.
Yeah,
And
so true.
One thing that I want to see is that, Amy, you even brought up right at the beginning, aquatics. And according to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, the bromine and the chlorine actually have enough properties to kill viruses and bacteria, which is fascinating, because that's why our aqua classes actually were some of the first classes to come back. Jamie, what do you see as being able to not only what should we look for when we're hiring quality group fitness instructors? Like, how do we find these people that are going to build community and be committed and show up 15 minutes early and get wet and naked?
I think it's interesting that you say that, because I think there's a lot of people who are in the fitness industry and there's a lot of people who came into the fitness industry during the pandemic. So that I don't know that, like, I know that there's a shortage of instructors and facilities, but I know there's a lot of people who desires to participate or teach classes. I think something that you would look for would be their attitude, somebody who's going to be versatile among different formats and eager to learn. I think the five of us as fitness event planners can acknowledge that going to an in-person fitness event is unlike anything that you have ever done before. And a lot of people that came on in the pandemic and got their virtual certification, it's great that those formats are available virtually, but there's nothing like the community and collaboration of going in person. So someone who has a great attitude and is eager and willing to learn, and also someone that is going to have experience leading virtual classes, or is going to be willing to learn, because that's not going away anytime soon. I would definitely look for gaps in their resume. If someone didn't do anything during the pandemic, that might be a red flag, because I felt like a lot of people in the fitness industry felt like it was our job to push it forward and move forward and get it going. So if you just took off, that's scary.
Well,
I
and
also
you know
think-
what? That's telling, Jamie. That's really telling, because there were so many people in need, and we have a certain personality. And I always say we were the frontline workers for the fitness industry. You know, club owners love them to death, and all of us are, you know, CEOs, COOs, owners. It's terrifying. I don't think I spent a day that I didn't look at my budget. I just lived in there. But finding these people that are committed to our industry, and that selflessly went online, engaged their students, and kept it going. And you bring up something very interesting, that nothing beats live. Right. Nothing beats that face-to-face. I want to smell that person in front of me doing that yoga rotation. It's not a pretty smell, but it's, you know, you want that connection. You want to see that sweat. SCW does something that if people got an online certification, they get a free live certification in the same format within a year. We've extended that so that they can get a free live certification within 3 years. Hello, because we spent so long separated. And Jamie, I'm going to stick with you, because the next question we're talking about is, how do we incorporate virtual components, you know, the online components, into our group classes?
I think that can be a little bit scary for people who aren't teaching virtually. I think they can feel like it might replace the group or the live instructor, but I don't think it has to. There are people who aren't coming back to the gyms, but I think that facility managers and group exercise instructors can use those digital platforms to supplement their existing classes. Whether you're a facility owner, you might be able to reach people that aren't able to come or still aren't comfortable coming to classes. There's a lot of platforms out there. One in particular is Wexer, that can offer in-club virtual classes and remote log-on options. And then you can supplement your library of classes, but still have the in-person opportunity. So I think that we know virtual is not going anywhere. So instead of being scared of it, we should probably embrace it and figure out how it can work with us, so that we can take the whole community aspect of the fitness industry and work together, even with virtual scary things.
And that brings up, of course, here I go again with another little video, but this is kind of interesting. This is 5 wellness trends to watch in 2023. And MindBody is not just online. MindBody also had live people, but this was a fascinating research study that was done over 17,000 participants in MindBody. And that was kind of interesting because it was the consumer, 17,000 individuals. And I thought that was fascinating. Strength in numbers. And Amy, I'm going to you again. 43% of these 17,000 people said community was the most important thing. And then from the ground up, going back to your roots, outdoors. There we go. Natural lifestyle. 40% saying they spend time outside now. 24% saying they go to nature walks or forest baths, and 40% are taking adaptogens. Those are like stress reducing hormones or melatonin or anything that can hopefully bring them back to homeostasis. And then the Generation W, the wellness generation, and that's what we're getting into. It's like this work-life balance, being emotionally connected to people. It was interesting. We posted it. We are looking for a creative person to join our team. And the minute I put in the description work-life balance, we got 20 more applicants. And this tends to be a little bit of that younger generation, Janice, that you brought up. Now, big female energy in 2023. 39% of the people said they prefer women-only gyms or women-only classes, which I think is interesting. 24% were very interested in just comfortable attire, not these tight little crappy bra top things. And 35% of the women between 18 and 50 structure their workouts around their menstrual cycle. And they even talked about being sexually fulfilled. So it's very fascinating. And then the last thing, number 5, of course, boom, longevity, functional training for longer, more fulfilled life. 30% say they exercise not to lose weight, but to live longer in a healthier lifestyle. So, and biohacking, and 47% said the focus was recovery. And that's, Amy, where you said that we're seeing a lot of boutique studios really pushing their yoga. And it's interesting to see the strength training coming up as well. So I thought the wellness was fascinating. Mo, do you see a lot of wellness participation or wellness focus going on at CanFit Pro?
Oh, absolutely. People are looking for the softer side of fitness, or fitness that focuses on the mindfulness. That's why we are seeing, actually, in the big box gyms as well as the boutiques, a rise in yoga, Pilates, meditation, breathing classes. We actually, again, in the gyms I work, Good Life Fitness, we replaced our sadly, we removed our child minding due to the expense and limitations around that. And we replaced it with MindEns, where people can go in and use basic technology, small iPads, and listen to music or guided meditation, sit in beanbag chairs, sleep. So we're seeing a lot more of that. And then, of course, the small equipment to support more mindfulness and wellness programming, fascial rolling, stretching. I mean, they were never really attractive to members before. You know, you'd often hear, oh, I can stretch on my own. Well, now they want to come to class or to a small group and learn how to take care of their tissue. and their minds, as well as their energy and their physical body. So yes, absolutely. In fact, I believe strongly this is what is bringing the new member into the facilities and the boutiques, is this type of new programming centered around wellness, longevity, active aging, and seeking health, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally.
And Amy, I see you nodding, and I know you wanted to talk a little bit about virtual as well as this wellness focus. Please share.
Yeah, I'm totally nodding and agreeing with everything Mo's saying. In terms of like the programming we're putting into our events, it's broadened in the category of mindfulness and helping fitness professionals to have strategies, not interventions or not diagnoses, but understanding that we are treating whole humans, and that treating meaning they're coming to our facilities for our service. So we want to make sure that we really are thinking about the person in totality and not just their muscles and their skeletal system. But I did want to comment, our idea is bringing back our benefit and compensation survey. It's been since 2016 since we've done that for the industry. And so we're going to be sharing that out in 2023. And it's very, very fascinating. And by the way, we're doing it in partnership with ACSM. So really hoping to get a very, very, very large sample. It'll be US based. Sorry, Mo, we're not extending it to Canada at this time. But one of the things, the observations, as we looked at how the industry has changed since 2016, we're having to redefine the word hybrid. Hybrid used to mean I was a personal trainer and I also may have done group fitness, and now hybrid has a different definition. What is the definition? Now we can think about the virtual training space, digital fitness. How has this broadened our industry? And I think for everyone on this call, it really has broadened your ability to work with anyone in the world on any modality at any time of the day. And it's really, really exciting, particularly for group fitness, what these changes have brought. So anyway, watch for the survey. I did want to just drop that it is in service of the industry. We will be sharing all of those findings with everyone, but we want to find out how people view their roles. How have the roles changed? How are you charging, and how are you being compensated? And so it will address a lot of the questions that came up on this call as well.
And Amy, if you would be, SCW is happy to send it out to our the 64,000 whatever database to make sure these 300 plus people that have registered make sure that they get involved, because it's very important. I'm a firm believer that we're all in this together. So this is great stuff. We're getting a little bit close here, but Jamie, I wanted to wonder if we could go in our last question here. Group instructor experience, how can we transition that or leverage it into small group training or personal training and other profitable formats? Any ideas there? Oh, I think you're muted.
You're right. I didn't want y'all to hear my kids.
No, that's okay. We don't want to hear your kids running in the house again and my dog's barking, right?
One of the things I think that you can do is create workshops or enrollment programs that might be more beginner based. So if you're trying to reach the people who know they need to come to the gym or know they need to get a workout but aren't doing it, something that might be a little bit less intimidating to them would be a small group. So you could create an enrollment program that's going to ensure attendance because they're paying for it separately from their gym membership, but also might make them feel more comfortable in a group setting that would then encourage them to do either personal training one-on-one or continue to move forward to the group exercise schedule. I think it'd be a great way to make people feel more included and include the whole community vibe where you're making something for everyone. You know, they always say, don't just teach to the fit people, try to figure out ways to include everyone. So I think that that would be a way that you could produce some extra revenue and also include more people.
I think that's a great idea, because we have seen, according to ACSM, according to SCW, I'm not sure if this is the same with CanFit Bro, but we've seen a decline in HIIT training. not only in attendance for certifications, but attendance in sessions at the conference, just a little bit less. We're getting less presenters that are saying, I want to teach HIIT training. And we're just seeing a smaller response from all these surveys, across. So I think that's a great idea with the beginning programs. Janice, do you think that's part of the reason that Aqua tends to work, because it's more forgiving?
Definitely because it's more forgiving. And it's it can be for everybody. And I know older adults tend to flock to water more than others, but it can be very athletic as well. And it certainly depends on, the good instructor. But yeah, it's more forgiving. And if I can just say something about the question that you asked Jamie, because I love what you
Yes,
said,
please.
Jamie, about starting from the beginning. But if we could join the group exercise instructors with the personal trainers, God forbid, and have them do something together, have a meeting together, and get them to, really know each other's professions, then I think we're all, like you said, Sarah, we're all in this together. And wouldn't it really be more profitable, not just for the club, but for the trainer and for the group exercise instructor, not to mention how beneficial it would be for those lucky participants and members who can be in small group training. So get to know each other and play well, play nice.
And play nice in the sandbox. Mo, I know you were very involved with Good Life in trying to get different departments integrated. Any suggestions on that?
Yes, there's a saying, if you can't it just escaped my mind. If you can't bring Muhammad to the mountain, move the mountain. So if you can't bring people into group, then move them from the floor into group by way of small group training. That's one thing that has worked really well. And when you offer the small group programs, in my experience, I've always invited, it is both a strategy and a relationship building opportunity, is that I've invited a personal trainer to join my small group training program so they can get to learn not only about my program, but about me as a qualified, certified expert in that area. And it builds credibility. And guess what? That personal trainer is more apt to trust their clients with your classes to mind the gap with what they train their client on. And I've always said the first thing you should do when you join a facility is get to know one of the fitness advisors or the sales staff, get to know your manager, your program director, and get to know a personal trainer that you can promote your members to that need that one-on-one, and that in return, they promote their clients to your classes. That's cross-pollinating and working together. And you can have a lot of fun with small group training. The last point I'd love to make is for everyone here and watching this later is know your fitness trends, because if you're going to venture into a small group training program, investing your time, learning, resources, you want to know what is trending so that you can hit the mark from the start. And so know your trends so that you know, well, if I'm going to build a pickleball conditioning program, is that going to fly in Northern Canada? Well, maybe not, but certainly in some areas where pickleball is the biggest growing sport. And trust me, pickleball players love to play just like golfers, but they don't know how to train their bodies to play long and injury-free.
Yeah, long and injury-free. Me, during the pandemic, I took up pickleball, ended up with meniscus surgery. What is wrong with me?
You'll have to sign up for my pickleball conditioning program.
I
online
am
next summer.
signing up with bells on. I'm like definitely going to do that. And it's interesting you talk about the small group training. I work with Gold's Gym. I'm on their Gold's Gym think tank. So I work with a lot of their owners, and I went to a wonderful program that they did. And what they did was invite each group fitness instructor to try different personal trainers for a half an hour. And the personal trainers volunteered their time, and they were very reticent at first, but they volunteered their time. And then what the group fitness instructors did is blah, 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 with the microphone and the bra top chatting, saying, this is a great trainer. And if you're looking for this, I really had a fun time doing that. And I thought that was very valuable. And then what the owner did is he forced It was not pleasant, but he forced the personal trainers to take different Group X classes. And they actually found that they enjoyed it. And the one thing that really came out of it is they're not as in good a shape as they thought they were. You know, when you throw them in a body pump class, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Well, I think we're doing really great, guys. We're at the top of the hour. I'm going to share. I love my videos. I'm going to share the screen right here with what's going on here at SCW. We've got our DC Mania convention coming up right now. And you can see that we've got a lot of CECs and sessions and our world instructors and our great brochure. But here's our video. So let's just take a look. Yes, we have our wonderful convention in DC coming up. It's in February, and then we have our California Mania scheduled that's just up right now in April. That's going to be in San Francisco. But I really want to thank these wonderful women for joining us. I cannot thank you guys enough. Amy Boone Thompson, CEO of IDEA, new owner. Thank you. Maureen Hagan, COO of CanFit Pro. We've got Jamie Nichols from DCAC, Janice Jakes from Fitness Fest and Aquacon. Thank you, lovely, lovely ladies. Thank you, Beth Caney, for running this webinar and herding us cats. And I hope to see you guys next Thursday as well. So take care of everybody. Sarah Cooperman signing off. Thank you and have a
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Amy, Jamie, Mo.
Yes,
Lovely to
thank
see
you.
you.
Thanks everyone for
Bye.
attending.
Thanks everyone for attending.